Hello and welcome to the Botanical Biohacking Podcast. I have something really great to share with you today, and what I would like to do is not just share a case study, but how that patient came to be referred and the results of it. And I kind of want to give you an insight backstage into my practice management as we go through this, because these are all linked together. When you have my style of practice and understand it, it can allow a much greater power of referral. So the patient was referred by an MD. Now, why did the MD refer this particular woman? Well, it was because I went to the MD's office and I think I brought some bagels or coffee, something like that in the morning for the office. And I just said, what kind of patient is the one that you hate to treat the most? And everybody in the office said fibromyalgia. And I put some forms on the table, and it was specifically a fibromyalgia and chronic fatigue referral form. And they just kind of laughed because I knew what that answer was. And the reason that they hate to treat this particular group of people is because it just means pain, and they have no idea where that pain originates from. So altogether, in Chinese medicine, we recognize 8 different types of pain, sometimes a little bit more, sometimes less, depending on what framework you use. But there are about 8 different types. And when they overlap so that pain 1 interferes with pain 2 getting better and vice versa, they kind of form a knot. And you have to know a process for undoing this knot, and I do, and they don't. So it's very frustrating for them, very frustrating for the patients. So this woman was referred in, lovely woman, born in 1968, not exactly for fibromyalgia. Her chief complaint was heartburn, which she had had for 20 years. And for the last 10 years, it had been fairly nasty. And for it, she took ginger tea and medications. It caused her swelling and pain. I think the swelling came a little bit... Well, the swelling, she said, was associated with the medications as well. She had a sprained ankle 2.5 weeks before, which she was icing. But the pain itself wasn't typically going down even with the ice. It's not a surprise there. Her sleep had been poor since she was a toddler, and she had allergies since childhood, which she took shots and needles for. She would get injections for that. And she said overall she felt run down. So it was kind of in the chronic fatigue kind of area that she was coming in for. She was 5'3", 170 pounds, and her blood pressure was slightly elevated. So already we can get a pretty decent idea of what's going on, what's causing this, what's contributing to this. So I asked her about her pain. She said it was about an 8 out of 10. Asked her about her diet. She said she typically ate pizza and salad, and the salad was kind of balancing out the pizza. So right there, okay. Pizza, we're looking at glue and cheese. That's basically what it is. And then we've got the sauce, which is going to be loaded with sugar. And then the healthy part, the salad, is raw. So all of this is going to be very, very difficult for the gut microbiome. So we've got what looks like, sleep trouble for so long, allergies. You've got multiple systems at this point overlapping. And why aren't they sorting themselves out? I believe it is based on her weight and based on her diet. I believe it's molecular mimicry caused by gut dysbiosis, which is perpetuating the imbalance. The body wants to come back to balance. Why isn't it? Where is the stick in the spokes? That's probably it. So I asked her, does she have trouble falling asleep, or is that she wakes up later? Why am I asking this? I'm trying to differentiate between excess and deficiency and which one started first. She can't really remember which one started first because it had been going on since she was a toddler. Fair enough. Her stomach acid, however, and this is really key, was worse at night. her stomach acid reflux. Now, stomach acid is supposed to be more active in the morning, but in this case, it's more active at night. So it's already showing me that the diurnal rhythms have been off. She had a feeling of fullness and acidity in the stomach and burning pain around noon. Her feet were cold, and generally she felt cold. So she feels cold, but then there's this heat sensation in the stomach acid. Her bowel movements were very regular, twice a day, and soft. Now this is interesting because we're getting very conflicting signs here. Her feeling cold, the coldness in the feet, this is kind of a sign of low circulation. But her metabolism appears to be very quick. And, well, when metabolism is generally high, they should enjoy some healthy blood circulation. But that's not happening. Her tongue is red with a red tip, thin coating. Her pulse is thin and rapid. What I used was my way di huang wan and a foot soak for her ankle. And that was it. No acupuncture at this time. Now, why did I use this particular formula? It is great for stomach acid reflux that is caused by yin deficiency. And this is what I'm seeing here is yin deficiency. Now, does she also have dampness and phlegm clogging things up? Yeah, she does. But I'm looking right now at the problem. I need to settle that stomach acid down. So we did. She came in about a month later. No indigestion. For the first week of her formula, her appetite was way down. As a result of her appetite being down, she didn't feel that fullness. So this is interesting. She has a sense of fullness, but I differentiated based on the time of that stomach acid that it wasn't true fullness. I could have just treated phlegm, but what would have happened to that stomach acid? It would have become more acidic. She would have had worse acid reflux if I was moving qi up. Instead, I used something very calming in yin. As a result, it cut her digestion. It cut her indigestion because it cut her appetite. So this is really addressing the root of the problem. Okay, so why is it that I would get referrals from an MD and then as a result later, her father would actually fly in from out of state to see me? And this wasn't a unique case. Around this time, a lot of people were flying in from out of state. And as you can see, I gave her a formula. It took maybe 15 to 20 minutes of her time total, right? I didn't take her on a 2-hour consult. I didn't take her into the back room and say, you're going to need to come in 20 times. And as a result of coming in 20 times, we can chip away at this acid reflux. Could I have done that? Yeah. Could I have done, stomach 44, stomach 36 and obtained similar results over a long period of time, having to see her every day, having to subject her to me every day for that amount of time? Yeah, but the thing is, people who are going to be your ideal patients, they have lives. The people who need you and need the attention, they don't want to get better because you're mama, right? And these kind of people who need a mama, they don't refer and they never have money. And it's not great for a practice in the long run anyway, because you get these weird, it's soul sucking because they don't want to get better. They want your energy. They want your life. They want your attention. And she wasn't one of these, which is why I was thrilled to work with her, which is why I could say, here's what you need to do. And she would do it. She's doing the foot soaks. So yeah, a month later, she comes in. Ankle pain? None. Ankle sprain easily taken care of. Just probably time at that point, but also the foot soaks certainly didn't hurt. Yeah, her ankle, she reported, is feeling better. Actually, all of the symptoms that she had, including sleep, non-issues anymore. She's in for something different now. She's like, well, I'm getting allergies. Okay. Yeah, makes sense. So, looked at her tongue and pulse, and I already knew her diet. And this time, it wasn't as the signs of deficiency heat had alleviated with one prescription of Maiwei Dihuang. because I'm a genius? No, because the creators of My Way Dihuang were geniuses, and I get to use those formulas. How amazing is that? So for the allergies, I used MicroGuard Plus and Wind, Xiao Chai Hu Sanren. That's it. Have a nice day. 5 minutes later. And she's good for the next 4 months. However, in August, keep in mind, she's short and plump, and it's late summer, and she's experiencing sleepiness in the middle of the day. She has a slight skin rash, seborrhea, that's a little bit scaly, and she's had a little bit of sticky stools and then some slight diarrhea at night. Her tongue is red, but it has a pretty thick coating. Now, the time of year, it being 4 months as well since her last treatment, her last dose of herbs, I'm like, all right, this is late summer damp heat. The sleepiness in the afternoon, well, hell, half of Sichuan is asleep in the afternoon. The dampness just has that effect on people. When you're fighting something off, especially something fungal, your body just wants to sleep, especially during the day. So she got Wind and Aquata. No giant mystery there. Her skin cleared up within the week. She just called to tell me that, and that was that. So, am I a punk? Am I a loser according to some of these, acupuncture coaches because I didn't book her for 20 acupuncture sessions every time? Yeah, fine, sure, in their world. But here's the thing. They're busy as hell, and I make more money than them not being busy as hell. Why? I'm looking at the demographic. I'm looking at the psychographic. And as a result of that, I can do minimal intervention to make maximum life impact. And by under-promising, I tell people what you're typically looking at, what any acupuncturist will tell you is that this will take 10 sessions to alleviate. And they kind of start to budget. And I say, however, I have these sustainably wildcrafted herbs, top quality on the planet. And if you take these and follow 1 or 2 lifestyle tips, I can keep you out of this clinic and help you to get better even faster. Well, holy shit, what do you think happens then? Well, I don't tell this to losers because I don't attract losers into my clinic, into my space. The people who want to wallow in misery and need my attention, and worse, if I were the kind of practitioner who needed their attention in some kind of sick codependency, well, then this wouldn't work. But no, I get people who have jobs. And as a result of that, they have credibility. And with their credibility, they refer 10 to 20 people. And I know this because my metric, I have 2 that I look at. 1, how few treatments before symptom alleviation. If it's 10 that I had and then they had symptom alleviation, this is something my teacher instilled into me. Even if they're happy, I feel like a loser. Why? Because if I could have done it in 3 and I did it in 10, why would I exercise? Why would I exemplify inefficiency as a lifestyle? That's not who I am. That's not who I want to be. That's not what I aspire to be. And this is why people fly in to see people like me. They will pass 1,000 other naturopaths, acupuncturists, if they get the sense, these people, they want me to come forever to get their, to get a chip of hormones, to get this or that. They know that I'm trying to get them out of my space. They know that I don't want them to be a slave. They know I want them to be free and referring. And so they do. And I track how many people they refer. I track that very carefully. Everybody else tracks how much money did I get off this patient. I don't give a shit how much money I get off the patient. One guy came in one time and his shoulder hurt. And I knew what it was, and it was outside my scope of practice, but I've learned Chinese medicine as part of my Kung Fu training. And I knew his shoulder was just, it wasn't out, but it was a little bit out. And this happens when people punch a heavy bag and they lift their elbow a little bit too high when they hit, the shoulder just comes out a little bit. So I grabbed his arm, twisted it to the inside, moved it upward. Immediate shoulder relief. He was like, wow, how much do I owe you? I was like, look, I wasn't here for 5 seconds. Go home, tell your friends. Now, is that ideal practice management? Here's the thing. If they expect one thing and I blow past their expectations, I earn referrals, and that's what I track. Other people will say, I got $700 out of this patient. That's loser mentality. Because that person is not a walking wallet. That person is a community, integrally connected to everybody they have credibility with. So you pat yourself on the back because you sold a package or you got some money out of people. I get tribes. I get communities. I will have all the Albanians in a town coming to see me. And then the Albanians from the next city will come to see me and won't see anybody else. And maybe the next group will be Somalians and they found out about me at a mosque. This literally happened. Why? Because I'm not trying to nickel and dime people. I'm not trying to use people to get things. I'm using things to serve people. And this is how and why I can do what I do. This is how I source the highest quality herbs on the planet. I'm not trying to fuck people over. As a result, we get the highest quality every year, and we have a dedicated team who improves that quality every year. I spend more money every year because I can, improving that quality by minimal percentages. And it's in minuscule amounts that even if I wrote an email and sent it out, nobody would understand it unless they were deeply in the industry. Unless they were an herbal pharmacist, they wouldn't even understand what kind of improvements we were making. But that's the kind of dedication we have, because whether it's my clinic, whether it's my herb company, whether it's the other projects that I do, I've paid zero for advertising. Instead, I over-deliver value. And this is a very important concept that gets lost on most people because they can't. Because they can't, they try to do some schwarmy bullshit, smoke and mirror kind of stuff, and you don't need to. There is a shortcut, and it's just look at what the problem is in society. All right, Americans are fat. They're on loads of medication. Everything that you can eat here is basically shit. Yeah, sorry if that's offensive. Yes, even the expensive stuff is basically shit. You don't believe me? Travel a little bit. Food quality pretty much everywhere else is better. It involves vegetables. It involves vegetables that have mineral content in them. Not this empty veg. I ordered some bullshit last night. I got salads with every meal. Every salad had no flavor to it. I have to wait for the farmer's market to get that. This isn't food. No one's really eating food in this society. They're eating, it's very inflated. It's inflated in how big it is. It's inflated in how many pesticides are involved. It's inflated in terms of how much plastic is around it. That's the problem. On a ship, if I worked as a Chinese medicine doctor on a pirate ship and everybody's having all these problems, I would be passing out lemons because they need vitamin C. And I would be looked at as a miracle doctor. Well, in the United States, in North America, in the Western world, and increasingly even in China, when people have all of these weird diseases, you just treat damp. You look at where it is and you treat it. Now, in this particular case, did I start with that? No. Why? Because I started with the diagnosis. Did I also end up treating damp? Sure. But at that time, it wasn't the most pressing. So when I say that that's what you do, it's not like 100%. It's that you understand that that's the majority of what's going to come toward you, but you keep a flexible mindset along with that. Treat based on the pattern. Don't get confused with all of the new and shiny things. I'll tell you, I have so many acupuncturist friends, and they get so dizzy by the new cool thing. And it's because they want to feel cool. They want to feel like they're a part of something that's, new. Well, my friends, you're already 500 years ahead of your time. You're living in the future if you're using herbal formulas which address gut dysbiosis at the same time they're addressing the HPA axis. Find me a Western medication that can do that. It won't even be available for at least 50 years. You're living in the future. With everything in total that we can do, if I had my way and if it was totally integrated, which, by the way, we have the technology that it can be, but what stands in that way, ethnocentrism, yeah, that's about it. Nationalism. There's no logical reason why, but there are plenty of emotional reasons, which is why things are going to stay separate. However, as bad as that is for people, as bad as that is for society, that could be your superpower if you let it be. You can just enjoy having future technology in the present. Didn't mean for that to get ranty, but look, you really can treat problems that are complicated, with 5 or 6 different branches very easily just by addressing the root within a couple weeks on average. If you look at if you look at clinical trials in China on Chinese medicine formulas, median time to see effect is about 2 weeks. So give it a month and you're good to go. If you've got the right diagnosis, which really isn't that hard. I'll tell you, the secret to having a good diagnosis is understanding patterns. And the easiest way to understand patterns is to just stop looking at all the other bullshit. And that's what it is bullshit. You want to look at herbal formulas as like something really complicated. I'll tell you, the more complicated it is, the more complicated the methodology is. You're going to see people going on what they call healing journeys. They're being treated for years and years and years, and that's just codependent bullshit from lazy practitioners. It doesn't need to be that way. You can get endless referrals by just doing what's simple, treating people well and blowing past their expectations. Thank you so much for listening to the Botanical Biohacking Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Andrew Miles.